Hey, good morning. Don't mind me, just finishing up a cookie. Great breakfast as I'm eating a cookie. Have you ever had crumble cookies? Mm, they are so good. My wife brought home some from a work outing or something. Had some leftover crumble cookies. So, fortunately, there was only like a few left. So, I don't have to go overboard. But yes, I'm late again. I'm still dealing with the crud. I actually don't feel bad. I just feel congested. Like I have energy throughout the day. Um, I don't have a headache. I don't have a stomach ache. I'm not achy. I just have snot coming out of my nose all day until I pop a Dayquil or Nyquil and then dries me up. But just what you wanted to hear in the morning. Maybe you've already had your breakfast. So I've been popping one Dayquil right after lunch and then a Nyquil for bedtime. And the Nyquil, man, puts me out. Puts me out. That's why I'm here at 9:30 and not 7. So I don't even set an alarm. I want to let nature take its course. I'll wake up when my body says, "Oh, time to wake up." So that's how we're gonna roll this week. I might pop another Nyquil tonight. So we may go late again tomorrow. But last night was just my second NyQuil, so I don't want to go over 3, but we'll see. We'll see. So hopefully tonight's my last NyQuil. So we may be a little delayed tomorrow morning again, and then hopefully I'm at or near 100% Thursday and Friday. I guess tomorrow's only Wednesday, so. But I am, for some reason, it's keeping me focused on like work. So that's good. And I don't understand why that is. I feel more focused feeling like this than at 100%. I think maybe it's like, I don't know, whatever it's doing. It's does Dayquil have like ADD medicine in it or something? Um, Dan says, get your ass healthy and Dan's going to want to listen to today's talk. It's TV talk, which was inspired by the Stacey Keenan and Christine Lakin podcast, episode number 3. I was listening to that yesterday and I'm like, it really got me thinking about TV and growing up, screen time, which screen time wasn't a thing growing up, but it is now. So I want to talk about that today. So Dan, you're going to have to stay up late. Sorry. So yeah, I'm focused. And I think what it's doing is I'm not like multitasking, and I feel like that's what puts me behind. I feel like I'm doing all this and it's good, when in reality, it's just putting me behind on multiple things. So maybe I'll just have to keep this in my memory bank. Like, hey, stop multitasking. Focus on one task at a time. Focus on your shipping and listing and shipping. Don't sort. I'm going to have one more bite. My apologies. It's just sitting there, teasing me. This is lemon cookie. It's from Crumble. It's good with coffee. So, good morning. Happy Tuesday. Madison Card Show's this Saturday, March 30th. We are sold out. 175 dealer tables, 3 ballrooms, State Street, Williamson, Capitol Ballroom upstairs. By the way, I did talk to my contacts at the Sheraton. I could not get the room rate, the group rate for this month or next month because they already have big groups in the hotel. So the group rates will take effect in May. So May and June, and then once I get July, August, September dates, we can work on those. So it's likely not going to be an every month thing, because typically my show runs in February, the same weekend as the dog show, which they sell out the hotel What else? There's some other events that usually coincide with the card show based on my dates. So it won't be an every month thing, but check out the Facebook page, Madison Card Show Facebook. I do need, and I finally figured out how to get into the MadisonCardShow.com website. So I will work on getting that updated as well. So yeah, so that's where I'm at today. Madison Card Show this Saturday, March 30th, sold out, 175 tables, free admission, show hours 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. So come check us out. The break says, I was under the notion you shouldn't drink coffee on Nyquil. I don't drink coffee on Nyquil. I take Nyquil after I drink the coffee. Does that work? So I haven't taken any Nyquil yet. I take Nyquil after lunch. My coffee drinking is done by 11, 12 o'clock. Then I eat lunch, drink water, take Nyquil. Hopefully that's okay. Where are we at? Let's go to the chat. Mikey, what's up? Long time. It's been a while. Good morning. Are your sales going strong? Mine have picked up better than what they have the last couple years after my spring training trips. Usually, the last 2 years, my sales in March are just awful, pitiful. By design, because I'm gone for 8-9 days. So usually the week leading into spring training, I'm not really adding anything new. And it is get your thoughts out, Bo. Essentially, I'm gone 8-9 days, plus 7 on the front end, 7 on the back end. It's essentially 3 weeks that my store is not at full capacity, is down. Because the week leading up, I'm hastily getting shipments out, and what I do sell, want to get those shipped, so I'm not focused on adding anything, listing anything new. Then I'm gone, and then I come back, and I have a couple hundred items to ship out. So again, but I didn't have as many this time around to ship out, which is crazy because I didn't do anything outside of an out of office message. So my sales while I was gone were pitiful, which was expected. But I've had some decent days coming out of it. Actually, the bar graph, the first couple days were pretty bad. Then they started to pick up this weekend, much better. Had a decent day yesterday. So it seems like things are correcting. So I'm back, and I've added quite a few. I mean, I added 2,600 Bowman draft singles. The Wyatt Langfords are moving pretty well. I'm starting to see like Heritage Minors cards. This is the time of year, March, right as the minor league baseball season. Players are getting their assignments, and all of a sudden I'll have, I think it was AJ Vukovic from the Diamondbacks, 2021 Heritage Minors. Well, they've been in my eBay store since 2021. And here we are 3 years later, and I sold the lot. So it was like a 15 card lot for $10. So I'm starting to see that. So, and that's comes around every time, every year. Topps Big League releases tomorrow. I'm excited for this release. I don't know if I've ever opened a hobby. I think I take that back. I think I have opened a hobby box of Big League at some point in time. But it wasn't at release. So this is the first time that I'm opening Big League at release. I haven't opened and I prefer Big League over like when opening day was out. I did not like opening day at all. I prefer Big League for a low end product. And first time I opened packs of Big League, I opened 3 blaster boxes. I think I was covering the basketball state finals down in Peoria, Illinois. This was a few years ago. Well, more than a few, probably 5 years ago. It might have been it wasn't the first year Big League came out. So it was probably the second year or maybe third year. I don't know how long Big League's been coming out, but this probably would have been, I bet it was 2019 2019 because there would have been no tournament in 2020. So 2019, I opened 3 blasters and pulled an autograph, which is a tough pull in a hobby box, let alone in a blaster. So I was like, hey, how about this? So Big League, this year's product releases tomorrow is release day. I did get my shipping notification from Blowout yesterday, and I'm like, oh my God, yesterday. That means I probably won't get it until Thursday. I'm up against the wall here this week because it's the Madison Card Show. So, I really need to dedicate most of my Friday to the show, and really even in preparation for the Big League release and what I have Friday in setup, I will get down to filling out the tables today. I typically wait. Like, why don't you do that far in advance? And I do. Like, Max has his spot. Craig has his spot. Tom, East Coast Tom has his spot. Jeff and Eric, Lambrix, Mark, Troy, Badger Breaks. Baseball Card Exchange will be here this month. They're taking Real Breaks' spot. Tom can't come. So Baseball Card Exchange will be in the house. A lot of those, Eric downstairs, Ferry Brothers, Greg Miller, they've all got their spot. So I can fill those in easily, but it's the one-offs and the non-regulars. That's where I have to put the puzzle together. The State Street Ballroom is another beast in itself. So typically I wait a little later in the week because I'll have, hey, I can't make the show. I had a cancel yesterday, which is great because I do have a waiting list, and Monday gives me plenty of time to hey, but if I get a cancel Friday night at 9 p.m., it's hard to hey, this guy lives in Minneapolis. He's not on short notice. He can't make it down, or even Chicago can't make it. So as long as I get those cancellations by Wednesday, even Thursday, they're okay. Friday's tough. Because Friday I'm already at the venue putting name tags down, and but it seems like there's usually 1 or 2 stragglers where I have to do some replacing. I've got a couple guys that had tables last month. They're like, hey, can you put me in a different spot this month? And I do try to work on that and make that possible. So Madison Card Show this Saturday. I almost tried to pause I'm watching a video. I tried to pause it. So I'm going to blow my nose. So I'm going to Oh, shit. How long was I on mute? Damn. Damn. I was on mute for how long? 10 minutes at least. 10 minutes. So what I talk about, I'll just real quickly, I'll catch up what you missed in 10 minutes. Where did we go? I was talking about random shit. If you missed this, I'm very aggressive on sending offers. I send offers 2 to 3 times a day. And then I just kind of babbled about that for a minute or two. We addressed that. Oh, talking Tatis. We probably missed this entire spiel. I think the Cubs will win 83 to 85 games. This was me being on mute is practice to being more concise, because now I can backtrack. I can like spell everything out, and then I can go back and be like, okay, I know what I'm going to say, and I can just be more concise. So Cubs over under, I looked it up, covers.com, 84.5 wins. My prediction for this year is 83 to 85 wins. Make sure I'm not muted. 83 to 85 wins for the Cubs. So 83 and 84, both under 84.5. I would take the under if you get the Cubs over under at 84.5. So 84.5 covers.com is, and that article came out yesterday. So I would take the under. Any new pickups? I've got some Cubs mail that I have not counted. My Cubs count is 900. What was it? 997,286. I've got some great deals on eBay auctions over the last couple days. Auctions are where it's at if you want to get great deals. If you're a seller, don't put items on auction. If you want to make the most of your money. So I've got, those are all in transit. While I was away, I did get, I bought some strip cards. They're in pretty shitty condition from pre-war cards on Twitter. But they were like $10-$20 each. So I think I picked up 4 of them, and they count even though they're beaters. And then I also had a Adon Sanchez like orange sapphire or something. It's a duplicate, but I got it cheap, so I'll pick those off. I did add another new Adon Sanchez from an eBay auction last night, the Gold Shimmer Auto. So I think I'm down to needing 7 for the rainbow. And I think 3 of those 7 are on eBay, but at ridiculous prices. The Pad Paradchia is actually not crazy. It's a 1 of 1, and the seller has had it run with a starting bid of $400, and he's ran this auction 7 days for like 2 months. And I sent him a message, and I'm like, hey, I would do 200 on this, and I would go higher. And he's like, nope, I'm going to let it ride at 400 and just keep it going. I'm like, okay, it's just going to keep rolling over. Because 400, that's probably the price point where I would pay for the non-auto super, which is still at right now's market is still an overpay. The person who has the non-auto super has it listed on eBay for $5,000. And I think I know where they came up with that price. That was the Adon Sanchez was one of the superfractors that was duplicated. So they had a bounty for the Adon Sanchez super of $5,000, and somebody already sent it in and got their payout. So this guy was the second one, and he doesn't get a payout, and he thinks it's worth $5,000. It's not. It's worth 300, 400 max. Joe says Crumble Cookies, a new sponsor. I'm a bigger fan of Nothing Bundt Cakes, though. Nothing Bundt Cakes, very good, but Crumble, pretty damn good too. Max, now I do want to get to this. Max says, I don't understand how places like Crumble stay open. Are they that many people that will pay $5 for a cookie? Max loves Starbucks. Max pays more than $5 for a cup of coffee. So yes, there are that many people that will pay $5 for a cookie because look at how many people pay $5 for a cup of coffee. Let's see. We talked about that. Good morning, Christian. Max says, Nyquil, you can do whatever, right? I never take medicine outside of maybe 2 nights a year. I'm kind of on that same, outside of my blood pressure medication, I'm pretty much the same. I rarely take an ibuprofen. That's for Dan. I know there's no R in there, but I've always called it ibuprofen. And then I will take it when my allergies get really bad. I'll take something just to avoid the pain. So, Value Box Digger, what's going on? I missed some chat. Mikey's girlfriend hunting. Apparently, that's what Talking Tatis said. Jackson Holiday to the minors. Set Card says I'm on mute. I'm muted. Unicorn Cupcake says long way in the chat before he finds out. I know. Thank you to J2 Detroit. Otherwise, I would have rambled on for another 20 minutes. Porter says it's like COVID Zoom. All yeah. Huh? Can you see me? It would have been a while. It would have been a while. Would have been a while. Mute only works if you unmute. Max says, get the bracket talk out now. No sound. Yeah, I think I got to like 12. Going on 3 minutes. I bet he gets to 7. Who muted the TV talk? It will be a short show today. That's true. What's up? Oh, my phone is right here. Oh, yeah. It looks like Max, Victor, and Dan. Thank you. And somebody else with a 773 area code. Yeah. He's laughing at his own jokes, which we will never hear. just have 30 people and almost 100 total watching. We've got about 50 or 60 Twitter viewers. Let's see. I've missed Hobby Evolution for months, and I see I've not missed much. Nope. And the funny thing is I haven't used my mute button in the last several months. So it's a Value Box Digger thing. When Value Box Digger comes up, got to mute and forget to unmute. If you have seen Love on the Spectrum, you might understand why. I have seen Love on the Spectrum. Very good show. 10 plus comments away. Cooter's in the house. I wish we had silent movie music to go with this. Silence of the Bow. That's what we'll rename the episode. He's going to rename this. There you go. Wait for it. Oh, Joe says we might get to 15 minutes. I think we were closer to 15. It would be nice if the political ads would run this way. Amen. I agree with that. West Coast folk all glad he's on a reasonable hour so they can witness the shit show. That's right. No volume. World's greatest mime. I really believe he is talking. Let's see. Set Card says this is what happens when you get behind in the chat. That is correct. The walls could talk. Not me. I'm not going to hit unmute. And that's what I had to talk about today. Yeah, I did have my phone near me. I just couldn't see it. Yeah, I saw the super chat popping up. And I'm like, oh, wow, what's this? Did I star something? Oh, yeah. Oh, where are we at? Super chats or a Patreon subscription would help. There you go. Hear what you missed. That's a good, yeah. I'll just do an episode on mute and then I'll make you pay. It's way more entertaining this way, trying to figure out what he is saying while he's smiling and laughing away. Man. So how long was it? J2 Detroit 9:47. And when was the when was the first mute? Oh, 10 minutes? Around 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes. I think next time I blow my nose, I'm not going to put the mute on. Oh, was that Dan at 773? I have a problem of not putting names in with my Thank you, Victor. He texted me multiple times. Let's see. Couple more minutes. Pretending that he's Ibanaga's translator. Those are some great pickups. Hit the 10-minute mark. This would have been a good April Fool's. Still didn't see it. So it's about 11 minutes. There's about 11 minutes of mute. So there we go. We got through all the chats. Let's see. Ever since you blew your nose. Got to go back to the rookies, like 10th comment. There you go. Porter says, yak, Starbucks is over roasted swill. Max says, I have coffee like 6 times a year. Most have coffee every day. But the thing is, like, people like watch it. So we used to do this when I worked the last office I worked at was right across the street from a Starbucks. I'm not muting this time, so you're going to have to listen to me blow my nose. I had 13 minutes to blow my nose on mute. So I never realized this. I had a coworker who said, watch the Starbucks drive-through. It's never like there's always a line. There's always at least 1 or 2 cars at the window. Always. I'm like, yeah, right. Like even at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, like who's going to Starbucks at 1 o'clock? Sure as shit. Every single day, Monday through Friday, between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m., there was somebody at that Starbucks drive-through. And usually there was a line. Usually there was a long line for overpriced coffee. And cookies are niche. So like Starbucks, like I think you could run probably a decent business because I'm betting like with Crumble, they do like the cookies my wife brought home. That's what she said. Wasn't like 3 or 4 cookies or even 1 or 2 cookies. It was like a giant box because it was like a work thing. Like I think Crumble and like businesses like that, like they're not making their money. Their business isn't based on, it's basically like selling low-end baseball cards. Like, well, how can you make any money selling 99-cent cards? Well, that's not the goal of my business. My goal is to sell a 99-cent card to a customer, and hopefully that customer either goes into my store and buys 20 of them in one transaction or comes back multiple times to make it a profitable customer. Crumble cookies. They're not banking on you to walk in and buy one $5 cookie. They're banking on you to buy one $5, maybe one $5 cookie today, but then tomorrow you go to the office and you're like, we should go to Crumble and order this giant box for $200. And that's where they make their money. VBD. I don't know what that is. Good to have you back, even though I cannot see your comments. Dan says, Dan's in the house. What's up? Morning all. Hope you're having a great week. Now that we are unmuted, we are now having a good week. Hello, Orlando. Just in time to hear me talk. Johnny M, good morning. At least I know I didn't miss any card talk during the first 15 minutes. Speaking of politics for 2 seconds, the first time you saw a Hovde ad, guy running against Tam Tam, did you think it was a joke like I did? That's a really good point. And Eric Hovde is all over my fucking Facebook ads, TV. But it does seem like a well done Saturday Night Live skit making fun of a Wisconsin politician. So yes, you do have that is a good point. That is a good point. Porter says, do you have a Patreon? No, I do not. The only thing I have is a Facebook. Hobby Evolution on Facebook. No Discord, no Patreon, no Twitter feed, no nothing like that. Just the Hobby Evolution Facebook group. J2 Detroit says YouTube gets video, Patreon gets audio and video. There you go. Oh, Victor's the 773. Wait, but I have you in my phone book. Why did it not, your name not come up? Oh, it's a different number. Did you call me from oh, wait. I got 2 calls from you. Unless another 773 called. Are you 5533, last 4 digits, 5533? Because I got yours, but there's another 773 that called with 5533. Oh, that was Dan. That 773 is my VoIP phone number I purchased. Aha. After further review, he sounded better on mute. That's what most people would say. Dan says that 11 minutes must have been where are you shared how you, yeah, that's where we did how to scale your business. Merle's in the house. Good morning. Max didn't hear a thing. Am I still on mute? Subway has the $5 footlong cookie. Made my clients a lot of money with those daily lines. Dan said, all right, bedtime. Damn, and you're going to miss the TV talk. If I wouldn't have been on mute for 11 minutes, we might have gotten to it. Although, no, we're only 3 minutes behind in the chat. Hey, Dan, if you can stick around for like 4 more minutes, we'll get to TV talk and Stacey Keenan. At Starbucks, you aren't paying extra for the coffee. You are paying extra to get coffee from someone with green and blue hair. There you go. Tuesday, I mean. Unicorn Cupcake says, accidentally bought from Keating on eBay the other day. Hope it doesn't have curmudgeon stains on it. It might. Merle says, start show late, mute yourself. What is step 3 going to be? The internet goes out. That's what we do. My internet's been solid at this house. I don't think we've lost internet connection yet. Knock on wood. Max says, I'm not talking about the hit piece commercial. I'm actually talking about his own commercial he endorses. Is that the one at the end? It does have a weird, I think I know what you're talking about, where at the end he's the way the commercial ends is very weird. So I think I know what you're talking about. Could be both of them. Yeah, they all run together at this point. It's like, it's only March. That's the thing about political commercials. I'll get off my soapbox here in just a moment. I'll get this thought out. But we go into the new year, 2024, and it's like, you know what? This is an election year, and there haven't been any political commercials yet. And then all of a sudden we get to March. And now it's like, Jesus, there are political commercials. This guy is on all the frickin' time. And it's only March. April, May, June, July, August. There's like 8 more months of this. Oh, that's what I get for saying we haven't seen any political commercials. Value Box Digger wants to know if Merle's getting a lot of snow. Is TV time when we talk about if the professor on Gilligan's Island is bright enough to make a radio out of a coconut. Why can't he patch a hole in the boat? Step 3 is workers arrive and you say goodbye, but keep the live stream going. There you go. That was a fun one. Rich Banker from California. What the fuck is he running for office here for? Can't vote for senator this go around. Merle says lots of snow coming, but in the cities we got rain too. Keep it tamped down. Well, hopefully that all stays in Minnesota because all of our snow that we got last week has melted. It actually melted like the next day. Actually, the afternoon that we got 5 inches and it's gone like in a day, which is thankfully. So now we've just had rain. I think we're going to hit 60 in the next couple days. Let's see. What's the latest forecast? We're going to be 50 today, but rain. 40 tomorrow, 46, 57 on Friday, 55 on Saturday. Thank goodness no snow here. So I wanted to talk a little bit about TV talk. So unfortunately, Dan has fallen asleep. And this was from a podcast that he turned me on to with Stacey Keenan and Christine Lakin. They were stars of 90s TGIF show Step by Step, which was one of my favorites, along with Boy Meets World, Full House, and Perfect Strangers, and those TGIF shows back in the 90s. They started talking about, they were doing a rewatch. So this was episode 3. So if Dan's watching in replay, this stemmed from episode 3 of their podcast. And I guess in episode 3 of Step by Step, their rewatch goes in order of the shows. So episode 3 podcast corresponds with episode 3 of the show, Step by Step. Apparently, there was a comment made in episode 3 of Step by Step, season 1, about Carol, played by Suzanne Summers, was making a checklist or rules for the house because the Lamberts and it was a modern day Brady Bunch, right? So they did not get along. The Fosters were very straight-laced, intelligent. The Lamberts, they were sports fiends. They were like me, kind of like my wife and I. Very, very different in, classy, intelligent, and then me. And so to get them all on the same page, we have rules of the house. One of the rules was only 6 hours of TV time per week. My first thought was 6 hours. That's like a day, right? And so Stacey Keenan and Christine Lakin says, 6 hours a week, doesn't that seem excessive? And I think Stacey Keenan said that. And Christine Lakin says, well, with my kid, now they have kids. And I don't know if Stacey does, but Christine does. Well, with my kids, we do 1 hour of screen time a day. And which I guess that makes sense with and I don't know, I don't have kids. I work from home, so I can have all day is screen. I have screen time from the time I wake up to the time I sleep. But I guess growing up, when you're doing, especially if you're in activities, you wake up, you go to school, you go to practice, whether it's band or chess, sports, whatever, you come home to dinner, you do homework, where's the screen? I guess an hour a day is good. So she's so 7 hours of screen time a week is fair. And plus you have a weekend in there where you're not doing school. So that opens up a little extra time. So I thought back, and then all of a sudden they start talking about their own childhoods. And they're like, now that I think about it, I had a lot more than an hour a day screen time. And I think Stacey Keenan even mentioned it. She's like, my parents were super laid back, especially about TV. My mom loved TV. I loved TV. As soon as it was background, that's how I grew up. TV was always on. We had TV. I come home from school and I turn the TV on. And whether I was watching it or just doing other stuff, TV was always on. You just come in. That's the first thing you did. You walk in the house, turn the TV on, whether you're going to watch it or not. It was just that ambient noise in the background. So I'm curious if you're a parent, what your screen time is. And screen time wasn't even a saying in the 90s, 80s, 70s. Screen time is a modern because we have iPads and cell phones. And, we didn't have that growing up. So it was TV time, I guess. But it's interesting because it is such a different, it is so different today having all of the screens that we didn't have when we grew up. So I'm just curious, what's your take on screen time compared to how you grew up? Because I found it interesting how Stacey and Christine grew up is pretty far different from what they believe today as adults and parents. So that was an interesting take, and I'm curious, Dan, you can tweet me or something as you watch if you watch the replay. Let's go into the chat real quick. Let's see. Merle says, got 5 inches and gone. That's what she said, but Yes, I did see the bridge in Baltimore. That was like the first thing I woke up to. What do I do? I go to my phone screen. First thing when I wake up. Yes, I saw multiple photos and videos. Terrible. And I think there were multiple cars on the bridge that fell into the water. I haven't seen any updates in the last hour or two, but terrible, terrible in Baltimore. Porter says, is anyone in the chat planning to go to opening day for their respective teams? That's a good question. I will not be going. Opening day for the Cubs is down in Texas and Arlington, so I will not be headed down to Texas, but I will be and I won't be at the home series, the home opener either, but I'll be at the April 5th game. Probably not. I don't know if I'm going to stay for the Saturday game. It is the Pat Hughes sweater giveaway day. So it's like, ooh, maybe just go for the sweater and then come home. Merle says, I stay away from the opening day. Way too crowded and tough to park. Got better, I bet, with fewer people working downtown since COVID, though. And again, I like to watch opening day. And, you know, I've said this many times. If I want to watch a baseball game, I'm going to stay home because if I'm at the park, I'm not watching the game. So I'd rather watch all the pomp and circumstance on TV than be there in person. All right. Porter says, Cardinals have $59 standing room only tickets for sale now. I jump on that, but doubt my 5-year-old son would last long. Unicorn Cupcake says, that bullshit had me believing Port Washington had a roller coaster. It does not. Yeah, so it took place in Port Washington, Wisconsin. This was actually something they addressed in like the first podcast because none of it was filmed in Wisconsin. It was all filmed in LA. And they talked about going to the theme park somewhere in Los Angeles that had that roller coaster. And it's like, it makes no sense. Because where is Port Washington, Wisconsin? Because it's not on Lake Michigan, is it? But the roller coaster in the opening credits is like next to water, which is in reality was the ocean. I think they tore that roller coaster down at whatever theme park it was. But if Port Washington had that, now I'm curious where Port Washington, Wisconsin is. Because if it is along Lake Michigan, I guess it kind of makes sense. That could be Lake Michigan, Port Washington, Wisconsin. Oh, Port Washington is on Lake Michigan. So I guess it does make sense. So Port Washington is north of Milwaukee. Okay. So that theme park could have been next to Lake Michigan. Sal Dougie, good morning. He missed the mute show. You didn't miss much. In 6 degrees of separation, Screech ended up living in Port Washington. Wow, interesting. Rest in peace, Screech. Sal Dougie says, I'll go back and not listen. The mute isn't on your TV. Background noise is Bo. We have 2 girls, 4 and 2. We have 90 minutes of screen time allowed per day, but it's restricted to certain hours of the day. We only have TVs in our basement. Okay. And I'm curious what your screen time was growing up. Did you even have screen time or did you have dedicated TV time? I guess it wasn't called screen time when we grew up, but I had some friends that were their parents were a little more strict. My parents were not strict at all. Like I had no rules. That's why I sell baseball cards in my basement. My parents had no rules. C's get degrees. C's get degrees. Even D's get degrees. Johnny M says, we were too busy playing outside to watch TV. They had to hunt us down for dinner. Yeah, I mean, I grew up in that time also, but I still feel like there was a lot of TV watching, even though we played more so I grew up in the Midwest. So, we weren't going outside, especially in if there wasn't snow on the ground, although I do remember playing tackle football in the winter, you just bundle up and you play tackle football. But I feel like there was a lot of TV time in in my childhood. We played outside a lot, but there was a lot of TV time also. Value Box Digger says Marlins have what, $52 all you can eat tickets to their games. I guess you got to sell a buffet to get fans in the seats. If you're Miami, yes, you do, because nobody wants to go to sporting events in Miami. And who would? I mean, if you had Miami. Fortunately, my son is pretty self-disciplined with his screen time. He watches YouTube more than most, but he spends more time outside playing basketball and baseball. I love it. I would play basketball in my driveway for hours. Max says, I get like 5 times more screen time now at 34 than I did as a kid, but 90% of that is background. And I think I'm the same way. I mean, I had a lot of screen time, and now thinking back, it's like, yeah, I did play a lot outside, I guess. I was never a video game kid. Like, I had Nintendo, later on Sega, but it was a lot of time that stuff was usually they were social video. I was a social video gamer. Like, I would play games, especially in the winter. And as I get into like junior high and high school, I would create tournaments and I would play a lot of video games on my own. But I think when I was younger, it was more of a social activity. I didn't really play video games unless I had a friend over or friends over. And now my screen time is like what Max says. It's, I'm not really watching. Like, from the time I wake up through most of the day into the night, screen time is background. Like, if I'm in here listing cards, that screen's on, that TV's on, but it's just background. I'm not like watching it. It's just audio. How much of your screen time do you use to go back and watch the shows from when you were a kid? Ooh, this is a good question. I am very nostalgic, so a lot of time, like, I'll pop on because I love the nostalgic podcasts, like Pod Meets World, the Boy Meets World podcast, now the Step by Step. So every once in a while I'll go back and I'll watch Boy Meets World episodes. So there's quite a few shows that I watched from my childhood. Johnny M says, I used to go to opening day at Shea every year. I stopped when they built Citi Field. Port is on Michigan. That dude from Duryea says, heading to CBP for the Phillies home opener versus the Braves, 55 degrees and a 90% chance of rain, may say otherwise. Wah, wah. And see, that's another thing why I don't like to go to the Cubs home opener. Because April in Chicago is awful weather-wise. And that's why most of the time, like, people ask me, somebody asked me at spring training, like, do you have season tickets? And I'm like, no, it's, I was on the list. And then when I got called, I turned them down because I'm not going to use them. It'll just be a money suck. Because you can't make money on the tickets reselling them. And I go to like 3 games a year. And when I do go to games, it's usually like planned out maybe a week in advance. It's not something where I don't buy tickets in February and be like, I'm going to the June 17th game, because I just don't like to make plans that far in advance. Unless it's like a 2-week vacation or it's spring training or the Cubs convention, stuff like that. If it's just a random Cubs game, like there's 81 a year, I'll get to one. So it's like, okay, hey, I don't have anything going on. My workload is less than expected, or I'm caught up. I'll go to Friday's game. And none of those happen in April because the weather in Chicago is brutal. Sports card ripping teacher says opening day is a good old-fashioned pass out for the beer vendors. Day 2 is a grind. Porter says, did you happen to see Dylan Carlson and Jordan Walker collide on the Nico Horner fly yesterday? No, I did not. Carlson was finally mashing again. Now we're on to our 3rd center fielder before the season even begins. Oh, shit. Did one or both get hurt? That's not good. Set Card says majority of my screen time was playing Pokemon on Game Boy growing up. Rarely watch shows, and if I did, it was sports with my dad. Sal Dougie says we didn't have a TV until I bought one with my first paycheck at age 15. Wow. Sports card ripping teacher says, I'm glad that my boys spend a lot of time outside. sports and playing in the woods. And I did that. My best friend growing up in like grade school into junior high, his parents ran like a lake. It was the 40 and 8 for those familiar with I don't know if it's a VF American. I think it's an American Legion associated lake. And so we belonged. My dad was a member, and we would go out there. My friend moved in. His parents took over as caretakers of the campground and lake. I think in third or fourth grade, and so we became best friends. And we would just go like through the woods. Like there was a chicken coop like in the middle of the woods, like creepy, like Blair Witch vibes. And we would go like pretend like we were building a house and bullshit like that. We would go sledding and go out on the ice. Fortunately, we didn't die. But yeah, we did a lot of that. Max says, if I had rats, homework would be done after homework would be done after dinner and before any screen time, but then do whatever the hell you want. Embrace tech. There you go. I like that. Value Box Digger says, your dad definitely tried to make you a motorhead, but you became a cardboard junkie. That is very true. The problem was my dad didn't have, and so if you know me, my dad didn't have any patience. Neither do I. So even though he wanted me to be a motorhead, he also wanted me to like know everything that he knew and wasn't patient. My brother got all of that knowledge, and I just, fuck it. I want sports. I don't want to change my own oil. Merle says, looks like the like button got muted too. Hit it. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, all that good stuff. Max says it's likely where your kids will make their hay in some form or another when they get a job. Absolutely. And I think that's, going back like, oh, computers. Like there was, especially growing up in a small town, like, oh, computers are waste of money. And I heard that a lot growing up. Like, oh, computers. It's just because like the generations older than me, like they didn't need like we didn't need computers. And it's like, well, the future will, because that's where it's going. Max says, I don't think my parents ever limited my screen time, but I was expected to come home with A's until I graduated high school. Just C's here. Gaming changed completely when Xbox Live came around. I've never played any online gaming like Xbox Live. Like to me, like it's playing on the TV and just against yourself, against the computer, or if you have a friend over you, one-on-one. I've never done any of the Xbox Live stuff. Unicorn Cupcake says, I used to play basketball in the driveway, hoping a scout would see how great I was while he drove by. Didn't we all? And I lived, so for me, I lived growing up in my small town. I lived right on the corner of a major highway and the street that led to our high school. So like teachers and coaches would always drive by. And so playing basketball in my driveway for hours and hours, I was like recruited by our high school in like junior high, recruited by our high school coach to basically recruit my friends and other students in junior high for basketball camp, because he's like, you're always playing basketball. He thought I would be a good ambassador to get more kids involved. And then I never went out. I went out 8th grade. I didn't go out 6th or 7th grade. And then I went out in 8th grade. And then I went out freshman and sophomore year. And it's like, I just didn't like organized sports. I'm like, I want to make up my own rules on the driveway. I don't want to play by these rules. I'm not good with these rules. Walker doesn't belong in the outfield, but the corner infield is kind of spoken for. Carlson with a likely shoulder injury. Walker is fine. Well, that sucks. Jordan Walker is on my fantasy team. Sucks about Carlson. Sports card ripping teacher. Their woods look like Sanford and Son joined forces with American Pickers. That's funny. I would encourage you not to start if you liked video games in the past. It's a deep, dark time suck for sure. Used to come home for lunch and play an hour of Fortnite in my suit. Wow. I have not played I have not played the most recent video game I've played was on a regular Xbox in like 2007. That's the last new video game I've played, like in 2007 on an old Xbox. I got a Sega from Nuke. I traded a flat rate box of quarter cards for a Sega with NBA Jam. I haven't plugged it into the new because I don't have a furniture underneath my TV in the rec room, so it's all still sitting in a box. But 2007 was the last time. That's almost 20 years. Holy shit. 17 years it's been since I've played like a new video game. And it wasn't even new in 2000. Like, I think Xbox 3 was out by then. I don't know what the lineage is of video games, but it was in original Xbox. Played Madden and one of the boxing games and all that. Jordan says, I still play. I'm actually in a Madden league. Every now and then I will play Call of Duty with my brother or son. Orlando says, I stopped playing video games when I couldn't beat the kids anymore. There you go. There you go. So I'm still stuck in nostalgia with video games. Like what are your favorite video games? Tecmo Super Bowl and NBA Jam. Yeah, those are my favorite video games. So that's what I had for today. Andy Mack says, I still like playing Halo. I never got into those fighting games. I remember Doom. Was it Doom? On like 32X, like Sega with it was supposed to enhance it from 16 to 32-bit. I think it was Doom. That was a fun game. All right. I'm going to wrap things up. I'm going to go ship. It's 10:30 already. Day's getting away. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. Visit my eBay store. Come see me at the Madison Card Show this Saturday. Sheraton Hotel on John Nolan Drive. Bronco says video games are way too complicated now. A and B button were enough. Now you need a 6-button sequence to have a character walk forward one step. Oh, I would hate that. Jordan loves Tecmo Bowl. Bo Jackson, unstoppable. Love the Raiders. We used to have a no Raiders rule when we were playing. So the next best, in my opinion, was the Chiefs with Christian Okoye, and then you had Derek Thomas that could block extra points. Porter is not a gamer, but I got hooked on MLB The Show last season. I play on my kid's Nintendo Switch while watching March Madness games. There's a lot of correlation between the game and cards. Very cool. Max says kids are playing on consoles anymore. PCs. Interesting. That's what I had for today. Thanks for tuning in. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Tomorrow, not sure if we'll be on at the normal 7 a.m. time or our Nyquil laden 9:30. Probably do one more night of Nyquil. We'll see, because I'm like really stuffed this morning. So I might have one more night of Nyquil. So might have to go West Coast friendly 9:30 Central tomorrow morning. But may surprise you and come on early. Who knows? Have a great day. See you tomorrow.